Forget everything that you've learned about being diligent and working hard in business. There are actually other characteristics that matter even more and will help you to become a successful business professional and a successful entrepreneur. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to start the first of our two-part video series where we're going to discuss the key takeaways that I have from the books that I read and how they have helped me improve in my life and helped me grow and build my business. I will share with you the top 5 characteristics of being a successful professional from Donald Miller's book, Business Made Simple, and how these characteristics can help you be successful in running a business, or if you're thinking about running a business and starting a business, as well as how these can help you improve in your own personal life. The first characteristic that Donald Miller talks about is to see yourself as an economic product. Seeing yourself as an economic product means that you are obsessed with getting a return on investment for those that invest in you. Donald Miller talks about how successful professionals are obsessed with figuring out ways for their customers to make more money. And the more investment that you return back to your customers and those around you, the more people want to invest in you and spend more money in you. For example, think about a professional athlete who plays football or basketball. When we as fans buy tickets and go to the arena or go to the stadium to watch the professionals play, it's because we are investing our money into that professional and hoping that we get a return on our investment in the form of entertainment. Don brings up a key point on how to become ridiculously successful. He talks about the more you make someone else ridiculously successful, the more you're gonna become ridiculously successful yourself. It's a byproduct of people wanting to invest in you because they see and feel that you can get a return back on their investment. So this was very interesting to me because Don posed the question that, I asked myself, and you should ask yourself that: how clearly can you articulate the investment that you give to other people? As a business owner or as an aspiring business owner, do you know what you offer for the people that are going to be interacting with you? What investment can you give to other people? This was a very important question for me to ask myself when I started building my coaching business, because it really made me think about what exactly am I trying to accomplish here, right? What problems am I really trying to solve, and what value can I give to other people? If somebody invests in me and invests their hard-earned money and time in me, what return can I give back to them? And this was a very, very good exercise for me to go through and gain clarity on that end. The key takeaway that I had from this characteristic is that successful people know exactly what value that they give to other people, and they know exactly how to talk about that value to their customer. The second characteristic that Donald Miller talks about is to see yourself as a hero of your own story, not a victim of that story. Donald says, if you asked me to predict whether somebody will be successful in life, I could do so by asking one question about them. How often do they position themselves as a victim? What do I mean by victim? I mean, how often do they talk about themselves as though they are not in control of their life or future? Do they believe fate has dealt them a bad hand? Do they believe other people are responsible for their failures? Do they believe the marketplace or weather or the stars are conspiring against them to stop them from succeeding? If so, they will not succeed. And the context here is that there really are people out there that are true victims that are suffering and need help. But we typically tend to find ourselves, in our daily lives, when things get tough, when things get hard, when our backs are against the wall, we start to see ourselves as the victim of that circumstance, because it's the easiest thing to do to see yourself as a victim, because you're not taking any responsibility. You're choosing to say that my situation is the way it is because of somebody else, but because of something else. And you're choosing not to take responsibility for that and choosing to be a victim in this case. Don talks about Playing the victim often means we blame our situation for our shortcomings rather than ourselves. We don't work as hard as necessary to accomplish something. We may blame our tools or our coworkers or short timeline, but the truth may be that we could have gotten it done if we had just worked a little harder. Don goes on to say that successful entrepreneurs don't play the victim in their own story. They go through hardships and they face difficult things, and successful entrepreneurs push through despite the adversity, and they find a way to get to the other side. It's very interesting the way that Don paints a picture about the hero and the villain. And in this book, he goes on to further explain that a story actually has 4 main characters. And the hero is somebody that wants to overcome something and grow and get something at the end. The victim is there in a story to make the hero look good. The villain in the story is the person that goes against the hero and is trying to stop the hero from getting the thing that they want to get. And then the 4th one is the guide. The guide is the person that shows up in the hero's life and helps them succeed, helps them get to where they want to get to. So looking at these 4 concepts of the hero, the villain, the victim, and the guide, it made me realize that I want to live my life as the hero of my own story. I don't want to live my life as the quote-unquote victim, and that successful entrepreneurs, successful business professionals, successful people in life choose to live their life as if they were the hero of their own story. The 3rd characteristic that Don talks about is that a successful professional knows how to de-escalate drama. So what exactly is drama? Drama is an overreaction to criticism, an overreaction to failure or fear, or an overreaction to somebody else's behavior. Don talks about how drama costs energy and it costs time, and it actually ultimately costs you money, because dramatic people are actually just an expense that suck all the energy out of you to the point that you don't have any energy left at the end of the day to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. So Don gives a great example about a person that knows how to de-escalate drama amongst the chaos, and he talks about the story of Captain Chelsea Sallenberger, also known as Captain Sully. Captain Sully, which, by the way, they made a movie about this, is the captain who was the pilot of US Airways Flight 1549 in 2009, when both engines on the airplane completely went out and Captain Sully had to actually land the entire plane onto the Hudson River, and all 155 survivors on that plane survived. The reason why Captain Sully was actually able to land that flight onto the Hudson River, despite, being in a situation where none of us can ever imagine being, is because he chose to be a leader who stayed calm and de-escalated drama when things were not going right. Captain Sully could have chosen to not react in a calm and collected manner and actually cause even more chaos on the plane, which could have potentially resulted in him not being able to land that plane and all those people not surviving that crash. But instead, he chose to stay calm. He chose to de-escalate that drama and communicate to the rest of the people on board that the situation didn't look good, but he was going to take a certain amount of actions and he was going to land that plane. So the key here with this story is to not to overreact and to just fly the plane. So this brought up the question of how do you actually de-escalate drama? And Donald brings up the point that in order to de-escalate drama, you must first understand the drama gap. What do I mean by the drama gap? The drama gap is the gap between the drama and how you react. So for example, if you go to a restaurant and you're sitting down and you order Coke, and the waitress or the waiter brings out Pepsi instead, you don't react by picking up the drink and throwing it in the waitress's face and flipping the tables and then going up to the cash register and standing up on top of the register and screaming at the top of your lungs that you're never going to come back to this restaurant. That's an overreaction, and the drama gap between the situation and how you reacted, it's way too big. So you have to figure out a way to close that. And in this particular situation, you would kindly ask the waitress to bring you another drink, the one that you ordered, and you would react appropriately and meet that drama with the right level of reaction. So you should ask yourself, when you're in a dramatic situation, how would a calm and reasonable person react in this situation? People actually respect other people who react a little bit below the drama instead of reacting over the drama. So my key takeaway here is that if you are calm and collected amongst the chaos, people will respect you more and people will start to view you more as a leader. The fourth characteristic that Donald talks about is to accept feedback as a gift. This one is a tough one for me because as a high achieving person, a person who strives to achieve perfection in everything that they do, getting feedback from other people almost seems like criticism to someone like me. So it took me a while to really wrap my head around this one and really realize what Donald was talking about with looking at feedback not necessarily as, a criticism of me, but more so as a gift on how I can improve and as a gift on how, as a human being, I can be better. One of the things that I found interesting here is that Donald talks about how accepting feedback is one of the secret weapons that successful entrepreneurs have, because successful entrepreneurs are obsessed with improving themselves and they're obsessed with improving their business. And one of the key ways that they do that is that they get feedback and they improve. Most people actually do not want feedback. And if you don't want feedback, you're not going to grow. If you don't want feedback, you're not going to improve. And this is something that has been a game changer for me once I learned that feedback from people that you respect and feedback from people that care for you and have the best intentions for you is very valuable. And there's actually not a price that you can put on it. And the moment I started getting feedback from those kinds of people in my life, that's the moment that I actually started taking action towards growing my coaching business and taking action towards starting this very YouTube channel. It's because the people that I surrounded myself with, the people that I listened to, and the people that gave me feedback challenged my mentality and challenged my mindset and challenged me to grow. And as a result, I started taking more action towards the right things. So Donald Miller in his book suggests that in order to establish what he calls a feedback loop is to identify people within your life that have your best interests at heart and to create reoccurring meetings with those people, whether that's monthly, weekly, or even quarterly, to sit down with them and really get feedback on your life and your goals. Donald talks about how feedback is a valuable nutrition that feeds your brain and feeds growth, and the more of that nutrition that you get, the more you're going to grow. So my key takeaway from this point here is that I really had no clue how valuable feedback was from people that have your best interests at heart and how valuable it is in life and in business. And it wasn't until I started growing my coaching business that I realized that surrounding myself with people that have been there, done that, and have seen all the ins and outs of it is very, very critical and has helped me make tremendous progress and avoid some of the pitfalls that they went through. And I would have never known that if I had not learned how to accept feedback as a gift. The fifth characteristic was a tough one for me and it hit me pretty hard. And this fifth characteristic is to know the right way to engage conflict. Now, for someone who is by nature conflict adverse in my life, meaning that I typically tend to shy away from conflict as opposed to go towards it. I realized as I'm building my coaching business here that if I want to grow this business to be a successful business, and if I want to scale this business, I'm going to be bringing in more and more people into this business. And as I grow, as the business grows and more people join the business, more and more conflict will start to happen. And me knowing how to handle that conflict and how to manage that conflict is going to be very, very important. So this point was one that I really paid attention to and am working very hard on. Donald talks about conflict avoidant people rarely are chosen to lead. Why? Because all human progress happens by passing through conflict. You cannot climb a mountain, build a bridge, create a community, or grow a business without engaging and navigating in conflict. Positive ambition will always meet resistance. Don poses a very clear distinction here between being a professional that knows how to engage conflict. He doesn't mean that you necessarily need to cause the conflict. There's a difference between causing conflict and de-escalating drama, as we talked about. Professionals and successful entrepreneurs know how to engage in that conflict. They typically don't cause that conflict. Don talks about how every hero in a story engages in conflict. And if you think about it, in a story and in a movie, there is a hero who wants something and there's something that stands in their way, and that thing is typically something that's conflict. And he talks about how, taking this analogy and applying it to business, how running a business is like driving down a highway with a car that's always breaking down, and you have to get out and fix it all the time and push the car all the time. So you're always going through conflict when you start running your business. So knowing how to engage that conflict and navigate that conflict is life or death sometimes for a business. A point that I found interesting that Don talks about is that the more successful you get, the more problems that people will bring to you. This was very interesting to me because I aspire to be a successful professional, and I hadn't really thought about the fact that the higher I go, the more successful I get, the more problems I'm going to face. So I really appreciate this lesson from Don's book because it's made me become aware of how I need to improve that characteristic in myself, because now I know that as I build this coaching business, as I continue to interact with other people in my life, I now can know how to navigate those situations where conflict is evident, and I can have a better chance of being successful. Don also talks about if you are in a situation where there's conflict between you and that person, don't aggravate that conflict, right? Remember, professionals know how to de-escalate drama. So affirm that person in that situation that they too matter, their feelings matter, and that you understand them. And also be open to the fact that you could be wrong in that situation, that your perspective is not 100% right all the time, and it's not the end all be all, and that you definitely could be wrong, and you should be open to learning and listening so you can be even more successful. The key takeaway I got from this characteristic is to become a person who engages conflict, doesn't run away from conflict, and sees themselves as an economic product and an economic value. These 5 traits that I have shared with you today are very pivotal in my personal life and have been extremely pivotal in my business as I launch my coaching business, because they have helped me learn who I need to become in order to truly build a successful business that grows, makes money, and helps people and solves people's problems. My focus is on building my business while embodying these 5 characteristics and becoming a value-driven professional who sees themselves as an economic product and is obsessed with giving people a return on their investment in me. I am choosing to live my life as if I am the hero of my own story. I'm choosing to live my life not as a victim, but as someone who wants to accomplish something in life and is willing to tackle whatever adversity comes my way head on and come out on the other side with a win. So think about these 5 traits and how you can apply them into your life. Meditate on them and comment in the section below how you're going to apply these in your life and which ones are the most interesting to you. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to be notified for my future content. And if you want to learn more about how to control your emotions and conquer that fear that's holding you back from accomplishing your goals, watch this video right here.